So my aim today is to show you how I would process an image for posting on Instagram. So we'll assume that you've extracted the image from your card, from your camera, and it's now on your computer. So the first thing we'll do is open Adobe Bridge, which is where I do my first cut or first run of the processing of a raw image. All my images are shot in RAW. So the first thing I need to do is to find where that is on my drive. So I'm in the storage drive D, in Photos, in the folder Photos, and subfolder Surfing, and then I'll just find the area, the photo that I want to use. This one is from a photo shoot I did a couple of weeks back with Matt Griggs's squad that he coaches. So we've selected this particular image. I just particularly like the spray that's coming off that. It was reasonably late in the day. I think it was shot at Allura. Very overcast. So the first thing I'm going to do is pre-process this image in Bridge using Camera Raw. So we open up the Camera Raw. So right click on the image, click on Open Camera Raw. The Open Camera Raw dialog box will appear. I don't do a lot in Camera Raw. I sometimes like to just check the white balance. So you do that by just selecting somewhere in an off-white area. Here, for example, gives it a little bit of colour. I think that's probably more natural looking. You can actually reset that by coming in here where it says white balance, and then it's going back to as shot. So if we do that, I'll just do that again. There we go. I'm going to leave it at that just to show you. So I have three basic settings that I use as almost as a matter of procedure. One is the clarity slider. I generally like to run that at about 30. Vibrance at 30 as well, and sometimes mostly the saturation, but you might have to play with that because sometimes it can overcook it. I think in this case it just gives it a little bit of pop. That's all I'm going to do in Camera Raw. You can do a lot more and just leave your image there, but I find because I've got Photoshop and because I tend to do most of the processing in Photoshop. So I'm now in the process of opening Photoshop to process that image. Unfortunately, I didn't have the good sense to pre-open Photoshop, so I've got to wait for it to open. It'll take a couple of seconds. Here we go. Here's the image about to appear now. There it is. So the first thing I always do as a matter of course is check the levels. So we did that by going to this button down here at the bottom right hand corner. You can see the little hand there. It looks like a half moon. Click on that. The levels will open. We might just get rid of that and we'll do it again. So delete that layer. Whoops, didn't want to go. But there we go. So I just dragged that, clicked and dragged it down to the little garbage bin there. Bring the levels back on again. Okay, so we've got quite a lot. This is the area here where most of the data is. So we're going to just lighten that image up by pulling that slider down. You can just give it a little bit of, and now this one here will be the one where you really do your final adjustment. So the one in the middle. See how that image now just comes alive instead of being dull. And the one problem with shooting in Camera Raw is the images are just full of data, but it's like a piece of film that comes out of a camera. You can't really use it until you've actually processed that image in the darkroom. And you've got two steps. One is developing the film, the other is then printing, and we're kind of at the stage where we're printing, we're getting we're doing the dodging and the burning and the lightning, and Photoshop is so much better than a manual analog darkroom. We can fine-tune all the various bits and pieces of the image. So having used levels, the next thing I do is I'll use these dodging, burning and sponge tool, sponge being saturation. So I don't often do a lot here, but just sometimes I do. So at the moment I'm on the dodge tool. Dodge will lighten. It's got three settings: shadows, mid tones, highlights, midtones is what I generally use. So you can just do that just to lighten it up a little bit. If I want to lighten up the face, I'll probably go to shadows and just bring the, for some reason or other that's not working, just bring that down a little bit. There we go, just a little bit in the face there. That's all I'm probably going to do on this image. I think it looks pretty good otherwise. So now we've got our raw image processed. You can save that back as a Photoshop file. I won't, because probably really not going to do anything with it other than post it to Instagram. Next thing I need to do is that's a full res file now. I need to downsize that so it will run on Photoshop. I might just crop this image a little bit, just get some of this out of the way here so he's balanced and a little bit more in the center of the frame. So we just grab these little edges down here and just drag that up. I've got the cropping tool set to 1200 by 800 pixels at 300 dpi. So when we click in there, now that image is cropped. I want to just get it back up to 100% screen size, so just double click on the magnifying glass down there, and that's essentially it. The other thing I just need to do is when I import these images, so I go image mode, I want it to be an 8-bit per channel for the web, not 16, so 8 bits per channel, and then just check the color code profile. I tend to export it ProPhoto RGB is the profile, but for the web definitely don't use ProPhoto, it'll just make the colours look so dull. sRGB is the one you want for the web, not even Adobe RGB, sRGB for the web. Click OK, we're all good. Next thing I need to do is just simply save that as, because I don't want to save it back to where it originally came from. I've got my folder for Cronulla Surfing 2020. We'll just save that as, I'll give it a file name. I can't remember this young chap's name, but we'll just call it Matt's Squad 1. There we go, Matt's Squad 1, and we'll just save that. Now I'm going to save it at the highest resolution, so it looks good on it will be a bigger file, but it's fine for Instagram. But it just, if people want to scroll and blow it up a little bit with their fingers, they can. You can take it down lower if you want, just by using the slider, but I always save them as level 12. And there you have it, that's done. So the next step is to put it onto Instagram. So obviously we do that. I use Facebook's Creator Studio, and that allows me to post directly to the web or to Instagram from a PC rather than from my phone. So we go create, post, Instagram. I'm going to use my Greg McCarthy photography account. I just call this North Cronulla a few weeks back. No, maybe it's not North Cronulla, I think it's Allura a few weeks back. You can put the location in if you want. If you don't, people don't really care. We're keeping secrets. I'm going to look for the file. So it's in here. Matt Squad, somewhere here. Matt Squad. There we go. I can also post it to my Facebook account. So just click this little box down here, and it'll go to my Facebook account. That's all I need to do, and you just go publish. Now it'll tell you down here when it's done. So it's been successfully published to Instagram, and if you just wait a couple of minutes, that's also to Facebook. So we'll just go and look at Instagram. There we go, Instagram. Oh, that's nice. There's the photo. Allura Beach. Just some, you can put some hashtags in. I didn't, but you can actually do that if you want. So all good.